This is In Between Spaces podcast. We see products go live every day. Some are amazing, some don't come out so good. Have you ever started to ask yourself what happens at the back end of these products? Who manages the entire development process? Who ensures that the quality that is being put out there is up to par? And who manages the team? Right? How do they go about it? How do they go about the flows? Who decides, oh, this is a feature that goes here and this is what goes here? That is why today I've brought to us a very talented, nice, and very smart product manager.
Oh, I feel like this is a lot.
I'm not done. I'm coming. I'm coming to the.
I'm trying to buy your way. Okay.
No. So the thing is, Omotolani is very smart, and I've had to work with him in the last few months. But he is troublesome. My life is being dragged. Like anytime you see me stressed and frowning at my laptop, it's Omotolani and one other person. Well, so nice to have you on the podcast today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Blessed. And yeah, it's good to join you on this episode of the podcast.
Okay.
My name is Omotolani Taiwo. I'm a product manager, been a product manager for over 5 years now. And yes, that's it.
I didn't even know that. You guys, the product manager at Interswitch, and before Interswitch, he's been at selling. So you see a lot of the fine apps you're seeing.
Wanted to drag me.
Oh my god. So nice to have you here.
Great being here.
I look forward to the amazing conversation we are going to have. So you guys have a seat, or maybe if you are cleaning, anything, but pay attention, okay? So my first question is, I found out how much work PMs do. Yeah, it is a lot. I mean,
Thank you for giving us credit.
no, it's the truth actually.
Some people think we are fafas or we're always fashion.
I would say some time ago I was that person
Okay.
until I spent time with my girlfriend as she's a PM. I'm like, what is this? Huh?
Yeah.
So, but I've seen you in the last few months do amazing work, manage people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'll be losing my temper a lot if I was alone. But how do you stay afloat?
Yeah. I think it's what keeps us going most times. I see our passion, our drive, right? The fact that you want to see your solution in the hands of people. One thing that gives me great joy is seeing people use my product.
Yeah.
Getting feedback from people who have used my product or interacted with my product. I think that's what keeps us going. Along the way, there will be issues, there will be fights, there will be trying to manage stakeholders. Stakeholders management is one of the key skills of a product manager. All of that is something you have to do. But I think what really keeps us going is the fact that you know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
You're delivering a solution, you're delivering value. Major thing is that the end user is actually getting the value they deserve by using, your product. Your product could be anything. It could be not just software. It could be maybe, for example, I bought a juicer and I want to use a juicer to extract. If as the end user I am unable to extract as much juice as I'd expected, I won't be happy with that product, right? And that is when you see users giving bad reviews, and all the likes. So I think major thing is, you're delivering value to your end user. So it's not that you're just shipping a product, but that product is actually solving or helping your users, get the potential, get what they really want from that product.
I love the point you came in with the juicer part because I can imagine go to market go and buy something. with all my excitement, want to use it and it's not now working. Like I can feel that pain. So it's the same pain people get
I
with
used the
products.
juicer because there was a time someone bought a juicer. I know when you buy fruits are expensive now,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the person loaded the fruits into the juicer, and the person was expecting a certain quantity of extract from. And I
Yeah.
was like,
What's
I don't know what
this?
this. I just wasted money. I just wasted the fruits and all the likes, right? I guess that was why I used that. Uh,
Well, I really love the passion with which you talk about products
mm,
and how you relate it to like everyday thing. How did you start? How did you get into product management?
Honestly, when I think about it, I would say it was chance. I did engineering as well. Studied petroleum engineering,
Okay.
and then after school, trying to find a job in an oil and gas firm. Went for NYSC. By the way, I served in Akwa Ibom State.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, and post NYSC, I was like, what's next? Started applying for jobs and all the likes. Nothing was really coming in at that point. Um, so I decided to work with a friend's uncle or a friend's brother. He owns a tech company, right? Right. So I was working there as a technical support person. So technical support is, oh, you're having issues with your PC, you need to install Windows, those minute technical things, right? I did that for almost a year. In between, I was applying to jobs, and then one day, good for me. One of the jobs I applied to, I got a mail that I'll be taking an exam. I did the exam, did an interview, and I was um, I was taken in as a graduate trainee, and then you know going to the graduate training, you spend some time in training school. So I think there was a time in training school where someone came in and person talked about digital products, and this was at the point where fintech, finance and digital banking was beginning to gain ground,
Yeah.
and it sounded like something interesting
Interesting.
to
Yeah.
me, right? I was like, maybe this is where I want to be because I did it after the graduate training program, the training program. You're supposed to, be posted somewhere to actually be employed or do some work.
Yeah.
So I said maybe this is a department I would love to see myself in, right?
Yeah.
Although what I wanted to do was mostly tech. I mean, I was coming from a tech place. But good thing is after my training program, I was actually sent into the digital banking team. And when I got there, I went through different departments, right? But all of this, while all of this was going on, like I said, I've taken an interest. So I started reading more about, what products are, who a product manager is, what a product manager should do, right? But one thing I found is one thing to know is one thing to
To
do.
actually be there.
So when I was doing my rotation in digital banking teams, I went through different businesses. There's a card, ATM, POS, and mobile.
Yeah.
And I think the mobile team was one where I found very interesting, right? Softwares, there's a USSD, there was a water banking. Not a lot of banks had that.
Yeah.
So that one caught my attention. So in the process of doing my rotation, I think the water banking product manager left. And product managers are experienced people, right? I was just a graduate trainee doing my rounds. And then the next thing the group head was like, oh, Omotolani, you should fit into this role. I mean, you've been doing rotations, you've been learning from people for the past 2-3 months. I think it is time for you to also own a product. And I was like, oh, really?
I
So
just
it's like
arrived.
someone throwing you into it. But the good thing with that product was it was still a growing product. So it allowed me to experiment, allowed me to learn and fail, right, as a product manager. I guess the organization also gave me room to learn. I had supportive people. So, I mean, that was how my product journey started. And one thing about me is whatever place I found myself, whatever role I find myself, I try as much as possible to, apply myself, learn as much as I can, and try to see what I can do better. I knew water banking, and that product is still very dear to me, although it's no longer existing anymore. Whenever I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah,
The baby you started from.
Exactly. You can never forget your first product. That is it for me. I mean, that was how the product management journey started. I didn't necessarily wake up one morning and say I want to be a product manager. I found myself in it, although I developed some interest, and so it was quite easy for me to fit into the role.
Thank you for that very detailed response. Okay, you talked about your petroleum engineering background and how you wanted to be in oil and gas. I mean, they say oil and gas guys are collecting a lot of money.
I mean, look at Seplat guys now. What was Seplat recently?
Mhm.
Guys are going on with 3 million, traffic 3 million.
So the funny thing is, I had a conversation with a friend after that, and then he was like, "That has always been the case. It's just that they don't
Yeah,
talk
I
about
know.
it."
I know. And then I thought about it recently and I was like, why didn't I just? But
Which brings me to my next question:
life has its bits.
do you ever regret any bit of being in product management instead of oil and gas guy?
Honestly, no. I don't ever. I mean, I see some of my mates, doing. I mean, some people are in big organizations doing big things. But for me, I feel like I have done great things as well.
You have?
I've launched products
Yes.
that not just thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are using or
Yeah.
have used. And I mean, for me, it means I'm touching lives, right? I'm doing something. And in our role as product managers, we don't get enough of flowers or we don't get our flowers.
People are always trying to kill you.
Right? And that is fine because our role is not tied to outcomes. When I mean outcomes, for an engineer, I tell an engineer, I want to build this app, deliver this app. That's it. A product manager, I'm responsible from start to end. I don't even think there's an end because most products are continuous. So in the life cycle of that product, you're part of it. You're there. So I think for me, I'm not regretting anything, if at all. I just feel like there's room for me to do more great things if I find myself in some situations. So let's look at it from the angle of a Steve Jobs or a Bill Gates or some of the top guys that have launched products that are impacting our lives today. And if you ask them, they'll tell you that one of the joy is to see their products or people using some of the solutions they provided. That's where I see it.
That's the truth. Even as a designer, like I like it when my product launches. The excitement, I'm like, okay, nice, I could do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's nothing that gives joy than seeing your concept, your idea, the idea you conceptualized come to life. There's nothing. I mean, when you go live, you're so excited. You feel some sort of joy, some sort of relief. All of the months, all of the last goals, all of the banter you had with your engineers and your scrum masters and everything, and then finally you're out there, and you're not just out there. People actually using your product and giving positive feedback.
Yeah, even if it's not positive feedback, actually, I like it when there is feedback. You use this thing. This is what you think.
Yeah.
Right. Even if it's not positive, it makes me feel like for you to come and give feedback, that means you care about this product enough to want to see it get better.
There is that angle as well because there are products I've used and you ask me for my opinion about it, I'll probably not give you one, right? Because it's not important to me. But a product that is really important to me, I'll tell you, I'll give it to you as it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, if someone is actually coming out to give you some feedback about your product, that means in some way your product is doing something for them. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so you talked about how you were given a chance, the first product, and how you grew with the products. I love that angle. What are some challenges you faced at that point?
A lot of challenges. I think the first one was doubt, right? I doubted myself a lot, right? I wasn't sure I could fill in the shoes of someone that is more experienced, someone that has, that knows the industry in and out. I mean, I was handling a product that's novel. It's not even a mobile product, it was like a water bank. Water bank was still very, big. So I was like, can I do this? At some point, I sat down with my line manager then and I was like, boss, I don't know what I'm doing here. I am struggling.
Yeah.
There was also the part where I struggled with the engineer. I struggled with some of the stakeholders. For example, compliance. They're like, "Oh, what are you saying? This
Who is
product,
this person you
WhatsApp
brought?
banking, WhatsApp is exposed. WhatsApp is this, you know." So what I had to do, as much as I really wanted that product. So, for example, I think I was trying, or we're trying to add account opening to that product, right? And there were some reservations around, oh, how are you going to get feedback? How are you going to get customers' documents? How would this work, right? I think some of those things actually posed a challenge to me, meaning that I had to do my homework. I had to do some research. And good thing is, there's also the fact that I had a good mentor, right? And I had supportive people with me. So anytime I had blockers, right, I would go to my mentor and say, "Sir," so it was a senior person in the bank there. I give it to him as it is, and we talk about it, share some of his insights. I also had support. I had a very wonderful colleague that brought me into it, helped me see or understand some of the processes, the technical terms, banking, how it works, and all the like. So, and then I also my own bit was learning, researching and reading as much as I can, trying to understand how things work. And I think that was how I was able to overcome some of those challenges. I won't lie to you, it was, you're young, you're new, you're just starting off, and you're going through a lot of bureaucracies. You know the way banking is. You have different stakeholders. You have to manage the stakeholders. Sometimes I have to bring my boss into a call just so that people will hear me.
They could listen.
Do you get me? So all of that. When I think about it now, I'm like, well, really I've grown, right?
Yeah.
But they were sort of like learning steps for me, and I mean today I can hold my own.
Being quiet in meeting where they are dragging you, I'm like, okay, I want that kind of patience, Holy Spirit.
Oh, trust me. Someone dragging me on the call now, I'll probably just, even it were 3-4 years ago, I'll give it to you as it is. But, now you get to understand people, right?
Yeah.
For the case of this person you were talking about, the person was within their rights to do so. That's a client I'm working for, right? But then, generally, we just need to manage our emotions. And sometimes,
Emotional intelligence, especially when you're stepping into meetings. Drop that at home, like drop that attitude.
Oh, trust me, it was 2 years ago. And as I said, over time, this role actually helps you grow. It helps you learn, right? Meeting different people, meeting new people, interacting with engineers. Some engineers are frustrated live. There's some scrum masters that never agree. The balance, essentially, it comes with having to apply yourself on the role. You don't just wake up one day and you're an expert. Definitely you learn on the job. That's one of the things I found out in this role.
Okay, so this reminds me of a post I read on LinkedIn like last week. Last 2 weeks, the guy said, "I'm a product manager at Google, and in the last, let's say, 18 months, this is what I've done. This is." As I was reading, I'm like, God, I've not reached down. I went to follow him and all of them. Like, this is nice. He said, "But I want to address something else today. What nobody will tell you is that in the last 16 years, I've had engineers resign because I was a bad product manager. I've had designers flag my PRD because it was not well structured.
Yeah.
I've been start like when he kept listening, he was like, I just want you to know that this is your life, and if you decide you want to choose this path, be open to growing with it."
Yeah, honestly, and I feel like that is the honest truth.
Not stepping, I want to be an expert.
So, he just talked about some of the choices he has made over time.
Yeah.
Right? So with this role, definitely there. As a product manager, someone will say you have all the power. Well, that's not necessarily true, right? But in this role, you can kill someone, right? If
You can kill someone and their career.
Yeah, you can, right? So that's what you need to do. One thing I found out is while the role is, sort of, I wouldn't say flexible, but gives you that room to apply yourself, you also need to consider others. You also need to be careful on how you do things, right? I see a lot of product managers just, go out, and product manager, this is how I think it should be. There are times when my engineers will correct what I have, shared, right? That means I have to be open to feedback. I have to be open to learning from them. So if someone says this is not possible, right? Fine. I mean, I want it to be possible. What is the next step? Let us talk things through. How can we achieve this? This is what I want my users to get. As an engineer, what do you think we can do to actually get our customers there, right? Instead of just saying no, 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 no,
Is
no,
this, it must be
is
this.
it must be this. A lot of PM do that, right? And that's why I said we have to be flexible. Um, Also, on the design side as well, I mean, while we have an idea,
Yeah.
there's this specialty, product designers and product researchers or UX researchers also come into play. For me, I sometimes see you guys as
Let's have
guides
it.
or advisors, right?
Okay.
While I might have a particular flow or idea of how it should be, now because you are sort of creating that design or that flow, right? You can tell directly where something doesn't apply or where something might go wrong, right? And that also shows the fact that you have to be able to collaborate better. Product design engineers. I mean, everybody in the agile team. I see that everybody in the agile team is important. From the QA, who's the least person in an agile team? I don't even think there's anybody that is least important. Every single person in an agile team is important. From product manager, even if the product manager is seen as the boss or something, I don't think that necessarily applies. Every single stakeholder in an agile team is an important part. And sometimes, like in this part of the world, we sort of, recognize engineers more because, oh yes, that was the engineer that built it. Is the brains behind it? And that's fine, yes,
Yeah.
because it's a craft. It's something. But then every other single players, they also matter. My QA engineer, the person
It's a
that is
teamwork.
looking for, some of the defects and trying to ensure that this thing meets the highest possible standard. That person also counts. The person that is responsible for bringing us all together, ensuring that we deliver right on time, which is our scrum master or project manager, it's also equally important because that person is paying attention to every single detail. Anything slips through the cracks, and there's a problem. Product manager is, let's not even dive into that, but essentially what I'm saying is, as product managers, we need to do better in terms of how we collaborate, how we, take on feedback,
Listen, actively
and
listen and
how
know that
we
this person is not
apply,
coming.
how we apply those feedback. It's very important. Applying feedback is actually very important, and that's working with direct people, your agile team, not even your stakeholders now. So for the Google guy, I guess over time he has learned something. I mean, that happens.
But after reading that,
I
I
mean,
was so
16
quiet.
years. He probably has been in different conversations, and that's life. I just said mine. In just 5 years, some things that have changed, some things that I've learned, some things that I've had to drop off.
Yeah.
Right? It's just growth.
Learning, unlearning. You can
And there's still more learning to do. Yeah.
like I really love how you talked about the cross-functional teams, like all the members and how each one play an active role. Something Paul told me, I don't know if you remember this, but Paul, if you are listening, something Paul told me like a year ago, when I had a very important meeting, and I was so scared. He's like, Paul, are you sure you don't want to come? I said, yes, come to the studio. What is this? He said, if there is anything I want you to have in mind is, for every room you step in as the primary product designer, you are the professional in that space.
Yep.
There are other big people. There are other professionals. They are professionals in their
Own
space.
Yeah.
You are expected to speak up within the confines of your space. You can speak up in another area, but we see within the confines
You
of
are the
a
expert.
designer, you are the expert here. So I want you to go into this meeting and speak as such.
I used to be like that. There was a time when meetings would be going on. Should I talk? Should I talk? Maybe I shouldn't talk. One
Yeah.
thing I found out is there's no stupid idea. There's no stupid whatever. Just say it as it is. Say whatever is in your mind. As long as it is within you. And I've been in rooms where I was brainstorming with an engineer and we were up to pure stupid things. I was like, okay, what if, and I mean, thank God for the fact that the engineer was an open-minded person. I was like, what's this one saying? You're saying rubbish,
Who is this?
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think being an expert in your field, you might not know it all,
You don't
but
have to know it.
then if you're in a room where you need to speak up or you need to say some things, you should definitely say it. You should definitely express yourself, right? And I mean, if there are people who disagree or do not agree, they would share their points, and it is open
Perspective.
for you to then say into what they are saying or their own ideas and try to find a way to sort of achieve a balance or something.
Yeah. And something I really like about the tech space or the teams I've worked with and people I've worked with is how people are so willing to guide and help. You don't see people, aside from external people, but you don't see people like talking down on an idea or a thought. There's always, even if they don't agree, you hear the, oh, that is a good
That's because
perspective.
in tech there is no stupid idea. Because what you think is a stupid idea, someone can pick it up later and turn it into gold. So I think if you're going to work in tech or you're going to find yourself in any of these roles, one of the things is always have an open mind, right? I used to be some way closed off, right? You share something with me and say it's not possible. I don't think it's possible. But over the years, I've come to see some very very radical things being implemented, and I was like, who would have thought? You know, some very minute things that you probably would have dismissed as a person, and then when those things are applied, you're going, "Yeah, this could have been it." So I think so. Generally, in tech space, wow. Although there are stupid ideas that when you say it, people will laugh and like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
But then I think what helps is the fact that everybody, or let me not say everybody, but most people have some sort of open mindset, right? So trying to see how things could work. So even if you share a stupid idea, you try to see the feasibility. Is it feasible?
Even if it don't work today, I mean, it could be refined.
Is it feasible? I mean, that is the major thing.
Yeah.
You might have an idea. I want to go to Pluto, right? We have some sort of fact that tells us that it is probably not possible for you to
Yeah.
inhabit or to stay there. And then maybe somebody does decide to take that on and start doing more research, trying to find some things, and then one day you find people in Pluto.
Yeah.
I mean, Elon is already doing something similar. He wants to go to Mars.
Okay.
Some years back, what are you wasting? Why are you wasting your time exploring Mars and all of that? That's just it.
Okay.
And the possibility of life. I mean, I was reading an article and someone was like, even from the is it some decades from now, um, what's it called? There would be space, what's it called, flights to Mars. People be living in Mars. There will be, sort of life, some sort of life there, and all like can rent an apartment. And I was like, it's crazy. But some years back, someone would have said,
That is never
But
going
then-
to happen.
never say never. You never can tell.
Very nice.
And I think tech space, the way we, although some people try to get key, which is something that I don't see why you're trying to get
Thank
key.
God I don't think I've met
Right.
them, have I? Think-
Well, I feel like the tech space is sort of like a community where everybody's trying to hold on to everybody else. Sort of like trying to bring people up. I see a lot of things people are doing on Twitter, offering, free courses, offering support, free computers for people to learn how to code and all the likes, just for the tech. I feel like we shouldn't just focus on tech alone. There are other areas of life that we could also offer the same professional support or courtesy to. It could be in finance. I mean, tech is already moving towards finance now. What am I saying? It could be, I mean, we're already doing that.
Yeah.
There's agri-tech, there's edu-tech, there's fintech, there's this tech, but the core crux of whatever they are doing, it will also be important to give some sort of support. I am an auditor. What if I have an audit community where people are also grooming or helping other auditors to grow? We do that a lot in tech. I see a junior product manager, I offer to mentor. I don't know if there are other professions that are also doing the same. I think for engineering and technology roles, it has always been that way. Maybe not the same for other roles, sort of. Well, it's a good thing, and I think other sectors or roles should also be like that.
Creating a community where people can thrive. So what that does, even for the senior person that teaches,
You get to learn something.
you get to learn, and then you get to have a community of people that are very loyal to you. Loyal, not that they are coming to wash your plate, but loyal that, like, I like it when I get calls and I'm like, oh, I just got a job. I'm like, God, like, even if I'm having the worst days and I'm questioning, am I even good enough in this thing? Like, it pumps me. You get? It's not like I taught you from head to toe, but at least I know I contributed something to this person's life and he just got a job.
Oh yes, no matter how small it is,
makes me feel so
it does a
good.
lot. It does a lot.
When I pick up my phone and call one of my senior friends, after the call, it's like, yes, I like the fact that you can still call me to talk about stuff like this. I'm sure it makes him feel good.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why you have a lot of people. I mean, you're doing this, and I admire that. I see people write,
Yeah.
write a post on LinkedIn and all that. I used to write, I stopped. I don't know if I'm going to get to that stage, but I think I should, right? Share some of the things I know with people. I do that maybe one-on-ones or in group settings, but I do not know that I do share what I have in my head. Or sometimes the way I think about it is, are you sure this is going to serve someone? One thing I found out is, or one thing I learned is, I mean, I've learned a lot from other people sharing theirs as well.
Community
So
has given back, has given
I
so
should
much.
also do something. So maybe one day I would pick it up again and share some of the things or some of the things I am working on with people.
Take your time. We'll be ever ready whenever you are. Well, so I have a question on how to manage. So you've talked about some strategies that you use. You've talked about being open-minded. You've talked about collaboration. Are there other strategies that help you better grow as a product manager and succeed? Because yes, you are succeeding.
Um, like I said, the role is. I think there are different ways to approach it, and I'll tell you why. I see different people sharing how they do their product management. But one thing I've learned is, there's some sort of, if you look at 5, 6, 7 product people, right, the way they do their thing, there's always some sort of uniformity, right? How they do it might be different,
Yeah.
right? But they still have to follow some sort of process or framework. You know that if you're doing stakeholder management, you have to be very good at communicating. You can't want to do stakeholder management as a product manager and not know how to communicate with your stakeholders. So at first, in my career, I didn't know how to do that. I had to learn. I had to even take a course on how to communicate clearly. So it's one thing to communicate. It's one thing to communicate effectively. And that is what separates great PMs from good PMs. Now, when I say communicate effectively and communication, you can communicate. I can tell you, blessed, I want you to go upstairs. I have communicated. But effective communication will be, blessed, I want you to go upstairs and get
And-
me my laptop.
Say what you want, yeah.
That's effective communication. I think that is one thing that a lot of PMs probably don't have. Another thing is Prioritization. How we prioritize. There are a lot of frameworks, Kano, Rise, you know, but in applying any of the prioritization frameworks, you need to have an understanding of where you are, what you're doing, and the kind of stakeholders you are dealing with. That's another one. Time management. God, I tell you, product managers, 60 to 70% of our time is in meetings. Sometimes I ask myself after the end of the day, what did I do today? That's some sort of accountability for myself.
Yeah.
Because we find ourselves in a lot of meetings or in a lot of calls because someone needs clarity somewhere, or you need to be on a call with a stakeholder to have some sort of alignment. So it is always very, very important that we don't lose sight of how we manage our time. Because before you know it, it has ended. You've not done anything meaningful, you've not achieved anything meaningful. It's always very important. And how I tackle mine is I try as much as possible to have all my calls in the morning. That's why I don't like having meetings during the day. And then, afternoon-ish, I use that to then do some work or some research or some, putting some documents together. And usually I used to work till very late in the night, my previous life, although recently I kind of toned down that.
Okay.
Good life, good work-life balance sort of came into play. But yeah, that is also there. And then learning, constant learning. In this our world, things change very fast. Things move very fast. You need to be able to adapt. You need to be able to learn. You need to be able to apply yourself. Now, it's not just to learn, but to also get something from what you're learning. And then one great thing is mentoring. You can't throw away the fact that good mentors help. Have a good mentor. I was very blessed to have good mentors while I was doing this product thing. I had people that would correct me, had people that would tell me what to do, had people that would sort of, if I was going the wrong way, kind of push me back and say, hey, guy, you are going.
People that have your best interest, so it's not a thing of.
Exactly. And then, working with great people, right? Across your career, you meet different set of individuals. So some people are annoying, some people are great, some people are just there. It is also best that as a product manager, you have people skills, right? There are times when I want to scream, I want to shout at someone that's frustrating my life. I've done it before. It's not even times when I have, right? But over time, you get to learn how to manage your emotions, how to manage people better, right? How to inspire, sometimes encourage,
Words
right?
of affirmation.
All of that. So it's not a one one cap fit, or how they say. There's so many things that goes into it, right? And so many things that separate a bad PM from a good PM and a great PM.
Okay, so well, your answer for this now covers my next question, which would have been if you had to train a junior product manager. But I feel like every junior product manager, any aspiring product manager,
Well, you feel like they know a lot.
no, I feel like these things you pointed out, if they can pick on it, right? The people management, the patience, the encouragement. I feel like if you can.
And there's one thing I missed though, documentation. Don't joke with it,
Yeah.
right? There was a time in my career that documentation saved my ass. I would have been fired if not because there was proper documentation. Also very, very, very important. And don't leave anything out. There's also something I do these days where have a conversation with someone. It's not just a conversation. The conversation is somewhere. So that you don't come back later and say, we never had this conversation. That's also documentation, right? It is also very, very, it sees like one of the top 5, it's not top 2 things in product management today. You can't run away from it as a product manager.
So there's something you mentioned earlier about the AI product managers, and I want to ask, what's the difference now between the normal product managers and the AI product
All of
manager?
us are
What do they
now.
have to make them AI product managers
Well, actually, they need to have some skills.
aside from what they
Um,
already have? Okay.
yeah, I was taking up. There's this course sort of. I mean, a lot of people probably are taking that course. By product school, AI product manager. Um, although it was a micro certification, there is the major certification, and if you take that course, you realize that um, yes, you need you your current PM skills, but then with the way generative AI and all of the machine learning, deep linking, and all the neural networks and everything is going,
Yeah.
as a product manager, you need to have an idea of how all of this technology works.
Wow.
You need to know what the machine learning is. You need to know what large language models are, what neural network is, what all of this technical jargon. You might not be the one actually doing it, but you have an idea of how it works, right? So how is generative AI formed today, right? If you're going to use or you're going to design a product that will leverage generative AI, you need to know what generative AI is doing or what constitutes generative AI. So you need to have that idea. So it's not necessarily that you can't be an AI product manager. It's just that you need to do some learning or you need to upskill to attain that AI product manager role. I don't think I'm there because I'm still learning. It's a very, very, very vast um, learning space. Um, I'm also working on something like on that as well, what I can mention. And it's an exciting, an interesting field. But one thing I've learned is there's a lot to uncover if you're going to be an AI product manager, to be honest. And you can't just be an AI product manager, just wake up and be an AI product manager. You have to learn some things. You probably even need to sort of transition into being technical a bit.
Yeah.
There are technical angles to it. So yeah.
Well, I get you. You can't write requirements or manage a team you don't understand what they are doing.
So imagine you want to build an AI product and you don't know how to write your requirements document or user stories that shows, or for example, I want to design a dating app. The dating app
We are going to
will
talk
have
about this
this,
dating part. Okay.
it's going to have a user login or a user sign up. This is where you sign up, you provide your profile details, and then at some point you get matched. What is doing the matching? How does the matching happen? Does AI come into play? How will the AI work? You know, so all of that you need to be spelled out. So you need to have known, or you need to know how these things. You need to have an idea of how it works for you to define that.
Okay, so why this is happening, I actually want to say something. It's
Mhm.
funny that I love having guys that are in touch with their emotions and that maybe not just touch with their emotion, that are interested in real happy love. I remember having Neme on this podcast. If you're an OG here, you remember sometime last year, and Neme kept talking about building a dating website. You have someone else, people that care about
I
you.
was just using an example anyway,
It had
and
to
so
be
something
dating.
that was used in the course I what's it called? I took. So I just
You
saying
don't
that
have
as
to
well.
explain.
Wow, blessed. Yeah, you okay? You already know too much. That's why.
Okay, so okay, back in. Have you ever pushed out a product or a feature and it didn't do so well?
I won't say a feature, but I pushed something that cost kasala, cost trouble. So there was one time my previous place of work where we're trying to get people to sort of accept the terms and conditions or something, or we updated our terms and conditions of privacy policy. And we wanted all our users to accept that, so we meet some sort of regulatory compliance. So, engineers are asking, we're tested, everything's fine. And the engineers were asking, I said, yes, we're going live and we are going to do a first update. First update means if you want to log into the app, you have to go and update. You can't use the app without updating.
Okay.
So that means that every single user, new and existing, have to download that build. Now, guess what? The build was defective because we did not take account or into consideration of some users with some phone types or phone dimensions. So, and the way we designed for users to accept these terms and conditions couldn't allow for users to accept. So, or I think when you're supposed to download and sign up and try to log in, the pop-up comes up and then you have to accept and you can then access your dashboard.
Yeah.
So imagine coming in
And you
log
cannot
in,
go in.
and part of where you're supposed to accept it's not it's not on the screen, and all you're just saying is yeah, we made an update to our
Can you get the program on my face?
and then you're just stranded.
Yeah.
And you can't go back to the previous view because obviously everybody was forced update. So a lot of complaints, a lot of dragging, a lot of this. So what we had to do was quickly fix and push to the stores again. And you know how long it takes to push another view to the store. So
and then I feel like it will even reduce. I don't know for others,
Yeah,
but if I use
sure.
an app and you frustrate me, you're not seeing me at least until someone else says, oh, they've had sense, so they are working fine now. You're not seeing me.
So I will now, as a mitigation, we're not telling some people, reduce your font size of your phone to be small so that that thing can come up and they can accept. Oh God, it was a learning experience for me and something I actually take with me now that if you're going to do a first update, be very sure and have some sort of backup plan in place, right? Most times, just if you're going to first update, I don't even think why it is advisable. I think it's just best that you sometimes do your proper beta test as well. Try to expand the sample size, number of people that actually tested. So, for example, we did not account for a particular phone type, and a lot of Nigerians use that phone. So when our QA was testing, our QA just tested with an iPhone, and a Samsung, and we have people that are in Nigeria that are using the techno phone that is this small and something. So we need to be able to test or make room for
different use cases, different users, accommodate inclusivity, accommodate everybody.
This is just an example, but there are quite a number of them, and that's why I said the role is a role that you would fail. Nobody is an expert. Nobody becomes an expert one day. But the thing is, did you take out learnings from that, and how are you applying some of the learnings you took?
Are you in touch with? Are you telling yourself the truth? When someone gives feedback and you go all defensive.
A lot of people do that. It's not just product managers. Engineers do that. Designers
do that.
Everybody do that. And one thing I found out is, in this tech world, it's easy for things to just go south, right? And when things go south, the thing about things going south is, the repercussion is usually large.
It's always costing like one small button will be cost that it's not just a button.
And I guess it's that way especially for financial apps or financial softwares. One small thing that you think is small could cost. I think there was one time when we did something and caused an issue and billions.
It's giving like that Citibank
Billions or millions of money went up, and when fraud happens, everybody starts looking for how to cover their ass.
They look for who to hang it on.
Exactly, and the first person to come to is usually the product manager. Where's your requirement documents? Did you specify? Were you clear? Who signed off? Who agreed to this? So, and that's why I said documentation is very important, and doing your due diligence, carrying all stakeholders along. Because if you come and you say, I involve everybody. We all at the meeting, we all at the sign up.
Yeah.
And you want to share the blame. Let everybody take the blame, right? Because we all missed it. And one thing I
It's a
usually say
thing.
is, I used to tell my stakeholders is, yes, I'm the expert, I'm the product person, I'm going to write and all of that. The reason why you're in the room is that you're also a subject matter. So if things go south, we all together
Let's
own
fix
it.
it through. Like, let's own it. There is this last meeting, and I love the statement that a man made. He said, "It's okay. People make mistakes. I want like if there is a mistake, let's not. It's a mistake. We are a team. Let's own it together. It's a mistake.
But in this part of the world, people don't forgive that, especially when a lot of money is involved. You can understand an investor putting billions into it, and we lost. Oh, God, what's going to
Come and
happen
take
to my
some
money?
more."
Oh, what's going to happen to my money? So, yeah, I think in this part of the world, we don't give room for people to fail.
Not just in this part of the world. I feel like there are some.
We don't do a lot of experimentation. Can't blame. Sometimes I think about it that maybe you can't blame the people that um, are involved in making these decisions because they need to see their returns as quickly as possible, right? But then you hear of great products where experimentation was done for a year, 2 years.
Yeah.
The Nigerian fintech founder will tell you that I don't have 6 months. I need to go live in 3.
Keep it
4,
moving.
right? We discover an idea, next thing we're engineering, blah 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 blah. We're not even validating, and that used to be something I used to do before. But since I came in here, oh god,
Nice.
my new employer, we do things differently. We might not do experimentation for a year or something, but I know that one thing we do here is, or we do differently is, we take user research important as a very important thing.
I
We do our
really love that
market
part.
validation, we do our product discovery. All of these things are very tight before we then decide that we want to go ahead to build some products. And I have seen some beautiful products that were built. And when we are testing, we also take some time to be sure that these things are actually solving real time problem. And I mean, probably that's why we're one of the best out there.
Yup.
OGs.
The face of like I really love
And
the fact
it's
that
a new experience for me, and I love it. I get to see we might not. I think our product team is sort of we have some sort of maturity, some sort of template that actually sort of aligns with what best practices are globally.
I agree.
One or two or three things might be
need to
missing
change.
or might need to change. I know why you said this to change, but yeah, we're actually doing those things, and we usually recommend them to some of the people we work with, even though some of them would say no.
We don't want as it was yesterday, so shall it remain.
Exactly, you don't touch what. But I understand them as well. I mean, touching a legacy system sometimes when you touch it, things can go south, and they start losing money and all. So they're always very careful about that, and that is valuable. At some point you need to change, you need to evolve, and we try as much as possible to help them see that there is a need for them to do that. But yeah,
I really love the product process around here.
yeah, I love it as well. I mean, when I came in, not entirely different from what I used to do, but the fact that there is a discovery process, there's a user research, there's a beta test. I've only heard of beta test, like, and I've only seen it in theory or something or in practical sense, but not me doing it in practical terms or seeing people do it
Yeah.
for a fact.
Read about that and you're like, oh, it's fun, but now
I think we did some beta testing recently, in particular internal product, and I was like, wow, this is lovely.
It's cool.
Like, this is how product development should be. Product is, to be honest.
The first time I stepped into a usability testing meeting or room, God, after that meeting, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
It wasn't sugary, it wasn't all sweet.
Yeah, exactly, and that's how it's
But
supposed to
it
be.
felt so good. Like I came out, I'm like, people could actually use this and give
Feedback, yeah.
feedback. And then it did not even end there. You see people trying to find
And
which of
that's
this feedback.
one thing a lot of people probably don't do. Maybe it's because they don't have the means or the resources, right? But I know that it's a very, very good step in doing a solid product. Doing your usability test, doing your UX research, having beta tests as well. They're all very, very good and valid. A lot of product things, a lot of products were not built that way in this country. I can tell you that for a fact because nobody has that resource or that time. So maybe because of who we have, we definitely have that. So maybe that's why.
Oh, okay. So how can someone with no prior PM, I'm either in another tech space or in another tech field, or not in tech at all,
Hmm.
and I want to get into product management?
It's not hard. I
Hmm?
mean, you go around everywhere and then you are seeing how to be a product manager.
It's successful. Let me
in
add
6
successful.
months.
No, let me add successful product manager.
How to go into a career that gives you this amount of money. Do you know PMs and this? You see, when I see all these things on social media, I was having we're having a sidebar, me and one of my colleagues and my friend. She's a colleague and a friend, so like a senior colleague. And she sent me something on Monday and she was like, see your people again. And I was laughing. I was like, how do you blame them? Like, everybody feels like product management is easy to go into. You can be a product manager in less than 3 months, 2 months, a month, and you'll be earning a fat salary. Yeah.
Particularly, you'll be paying for with your blood.
I don't know where to start from. But I'd love to debunk some things.
Okay.
Product management is not easy. I mean, we had a conference last year, product is hard. Yes, product is hard. Because you can't just take a certification and think that is it. Or you take a course and you think that is it. I'm sorry. No way. So if you're going to break into product, right, you need to start something. You need to, so let's say maybe you are even in a tech space currently, it's even very easy because probably you'll be dealing with a PM already. You already know what the role holds. So what you probably need to start doing is to start, looking for roles where you can intern, right, and learn, and then when you intern in those roles,
Get practical experience.
exactly, you get to see for real how product management works, right? Because you're already in that field, right? So you can also relate to an extent. Also, learnings, read books, take certifications, if possible, ideate as well. I feel like any person can ideate. You can have ideas, right? One of the things I was talking to my brother. My brother is a marketing expert, and he was running me through about something he's considering. And the way he broke it down, I was like, "This boy, do you want to collect my work, product manager? Well, you're a marketing person." But I could tell so he has an idea, and the way he broke it down for me, if I am to pick it up as a PM, it's not going to be hard because he already has an idea.
He has done a lot of groundwork.
Exactly. So it was coming from a place of fact, from a place of knowing, right? And if you are not in the tech space currently, perfect, at least.
Wow, fresh mind.
Exactly. You're not clouded by all this, And one of the things I would say is have an open mind, learn, and not just learning, try as much as possible to find roles or places where you can apply yourself, right? Do the groundwork. So even if it's an unpaid internship, maybe you could be doing a side gig with someone you know, and then if possible, have a mentor, have someone to guide you. Don't just rely on so much online courses alone. Online courses alone. That would be hard, right?
Thank you. So you talked about certifications, and I want to ask, the certification, aside from the courses and the knowledge that comes with that, does it add any form of value to, or some form of credibility to getting someone hired, taking certifications, or someone is trying, my goal this year is to take 20 certifications, would that help me be employable?
I think certifications are, see it as, I want to get a job, and the first thing they ask is, you have a degree, right? Let's say I'm going into a job, right? And they ask me, what qualifications do you have?
How
Right?
do you prove you have these qualifications?
Exactly. So I need to get a job. They're saying, where's my BSc degree? But the role is more than just having a BSc degree. Right? They
Yeah.
want to know what I am bringing into their process or their organization. Right? What's in my head? So for certifications, I think it helps to build our knowledge as product managers.
Mm.
So yeah, that's the way I see it.
Ah,
So
sure.
I think there's someone called the father of products, which is Martin Kagan. Right?
Okay.
And his book Inspire is one thing that I don't know if there's any PM. There might be PMs that have not read that book.
Inspire.
I feel like Inspire is a great book, right? It's a book that would help you understand why you're doing products, or why you're building a product, or why you need to build a product. Um, there's also the Lean Startup by Eric Rice.
I never been started.
There's the Mom Test by Rob Fitzpatrick, I think. Yeah. Those books, there are quite a number of books, right? A lot of authors have written books about product and all that. But I think and there's also one by Product School, I think, the Product Management Playbook or something like
Yeah,
that.
I've been seeing that book. I think.
It was written by Product School. It was one of the books I read when I was, going into products as well. So I think they developed that 2021 or 2022 ish, right? So it's a very good book, sort of like an handbook as well. Um, and not just books alone, there are courses as well, and certifications. I think we talked about
Yeah, we've
certifications.
talked
That
about
would help.
certifications.
But as product managers, for me as a product manager, I read books, but I also read articles. Articles really help. They help you see into the mind of other product managers or other people. Might not even be product managers. I've read articles on engineering, trying to understand, different perspectives around how products are built and modernized. So learning is continuous. Read as much books as you can. I know Inspired and Lean Products, the Lean Startup and the Product Playbook is very, very key. And the mom test is also very important. There's this screenshot I used to have that has a list of books you should read as a product manager. And I've read all the books on that.
Wow. Well, you guys, it was an amazing time this evening. Have an amazing day, an amazing week. I hope you succeed in the things you set out to do.
Amen.
Tell everybody bye, Omotolani.
Bye, Blast. See you in the office where I get to trouble you more.
Oh, thank God this was captured.
Oh, was it? No. Yeah, that should be taken off.
Bye, people.